Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to an episode of Unpopular Review Entertainment, where we are going to be discussing A Quiet Place Part 2. I'm your host, That's So Caden. I am joined by three other people tonight. First, it is C the Superior. C, how you doing tonight?
Hi. Oh, let me whisper.
Well, let's bring in our two other co-hosts. We're also joined by, titled today, Tiptoe.
Hi there.
And Vic.
You'd all be dead.
We gotta be quiet. Well, A Quiet Place Part 2. How did everyone feel about this movie?
All right. So I went to go see it in the theater, like probably most of us. And for one, I just wanted to say that the theater experience kind of ruined it for me. Like, I don't know, people were just excited to be out of the house, but it was like really loud. I was like, what's going on here? But I still got the essence of the movie. I liked that it picked up like right after the last movie, like almost like immediately. I enjoyed, actually, out of all of the characters, right, out of all of their character arcs, the one that I kind of enjoyed the most was the son, the brother, because he was so scared the whole movie. He had this post-traumatic stress. He had like this fear of abandonment, like this whole issue going on with him, and like his whole arc was really touching to me. That was probably my favorite character. Mm-hmm. It was shot really nice. I think the performances were great. If I had to criticize something about the movie, just like off the top of my head, it'll probably be the ending. I don't know if we're doing spoilers this episode, but the ending is very abrupt. It just kind of yeah.
Let's go ahead and say let's put up a spoiler warning.
Okay, spoilers.
Spoilers now. If you don't want to be spoiled, come back after you watch the movie.
Come back later. But yeah, so after she, hooks up the on-air device with her, her magical headpiece, it just kind of stopped. Like after she killed the aliens, I wish we had a little bit more closure or something, like, so we can figure out, what's going on. I guess it was kind of, create your own ending, kind of like a video game or something. But I would prefer like a more wrapped up ending.
Well, the first one did the exact same thing, where she just pulls out the shotgun and she's going towards the baby. It seems like that's kind of the point of this. Is we saw, and I'll give a few numbers in a second and like basic things about the film. But it made 54 million, I believe, in its opening domestic weekend, which is more than the original one made in its opening weekend. And this is during COVID. It's the biggest opening weekend since the pandemic started. So I think that like confirms we're going to get a part 3. And that's what Krasinski's done in these first two, is he's leaving open-ended endings to allow people to kind of like figure out like what they want to believe. And then he'll confirm whatever is happening in the next one.
I wonder where they go from here, though. If it's a third one, they've already kind of solved the alien issue, right?
Yeah.
So where would they go? Do you think they would make it a prequel, even though they've already given us like a sample of it already in the beginning of this movie?
I think that this one is going, if they do a third one, I think it's going to be about designing a civilization with the aliens. So, spoiler alert, we find out that they can't swim. So I think like if they do go into a third one, they'll be kind of like building the civilization on that island and across the world and trying to find other people that survived. They said that there were like 15 boats leaving from that one port and 2 of them made it out. I don't know if that's the island that everybody was on, because we also need to find out like who survived when that alien attacked that island. But that means there's also like a bunch of other people. Like, is Hawaii okay? Did any aliens even land there? Is Japan okay? That's a pretty big island. Australia. There's a lot of, were they only in the USA? Like, did it only land there, or did it land everywhere in the globe? I think that this, like the next one, could not be about that family. It could follow other people as we're going to continue world building and figure out like what's really happening across the world with this situation.
That would be interesting. I would be here for that. Another thing that kind of irked me in the movie was the mother, Evelyn, when after what's her name, Reagan, after she makes her she decides she's going to leave, right? She's going to try to save the world. The mom, when she finds out, she kind of like pushes the responsibility onto Emmett or Killian's character. And it just seems really kind of misplaced because, okay, if you know, first of all, your daughter is deaf or mute or deaf, he can't communicate with her like that. Why would you send him off to find her when you could do it yourself? And I was thinking maybe she didn't want to leave the baby, but then a couple scenes later, she's left the baby with the son. So I was like, what was the point of that? But yeah, there's a couple nitpicks.
Yeah, there's a few reasons why I think that could be possible. Maybe she knew she had to go get the oxygen for the baby, so she couldn't do both. She could do one or the other. Maybe she just couldn't go out there and do that. She needed to stay with, and then she realized, oh, I'm the only one left. Now I have to go get the oxygen, which is why she had to go do that. There's a lot of like different really explanations to say like, okay, why did she end up pushing it on him?
And as I'm talking, I'm thinking about other things that happened. The kind of reveal that the son, when he's, exploring this facility where, Emmett lives, and he comes across the body of his wife, and it was kind of like, that was it. I wonder how come nothing ever came of that. Like, I wish we could have seen like, him kind of, maybe telling the mom about it, or, I just feel like it ended so abruptly, and it was kind of a shorter movie. I feel like they could have definitely extended it another 30 minutes.
Yeah, well, speaking of the runtime, you guys mind if I just run through some like quick basic things about the film real quickly? All right, so let's give a little synopsis. Following the deadly events at home, the Abbott family must now face terrors of the outside world as they continue their fight for survival in silence. Forced to venture into the unknown, they quickly realize that the creatures that hunt by sound are not only the threats that lurk beyond the sand path. This was directed by John Krasinski, produced by Michael Bay, Andrew Form, Brad Fuller, and John Krasinski, written by John Krasinski, a runtime of 1 hour and 37 minutes. This released on May 28, 2021. Of course, it was originally supposed to release on March 8th, 2020, March of 2020, I believe. And it actually did have its world premiere before the pandemic began on March 8th, 2020 at the Lincoln Center in New York City. So this movie had its full world premiere and got delayed. And John Krasinski, when this film got delayed, said that he wanted to wait until everybody could safely go to the theaters and rewatch. And he did actually release a video. And I don't know if it played before when you guys saw it in the theater.
Yeah.
For my theater, it was a little message. And he said, I wanted to wait until everyone could see it. And now's the right time. Enjoy the movie. I thought that was a nice little touch, but it kind of like adds to this element of how this film was like the first major one to really get like delayed. I think Furious 9 was actually the first one that pushed its release date, but this was about to come out. Like it was a week or two away from releasing. So now we're finally there. We finally got it to release, and I loved it. I'm very happy with this movie.
You know what? When just thinking about how they already had their world premiere, it's amazing that spoilers really weren't out there. Like I didn't hear any spoilers for this movie. Like everyone was really like mum's the word, which is amazing. I'm surprised that it wasn't, all over the internet, especially since it was pushed back and all of that.
Yeah. It seemed like people just had like a little respect for the movie to not spoil anything. It's the same with like Into the Heights and Furious 9. They've all been doing their press screenings for about a month or so now, and everybody's keeping a tight lip. There's no really spoilers out there. I think a lot of people, because of COVID, have this newfound respect for making sure that no spoilers get leaked.
Very considerate. Yeah. Vic, what did you think?
Well, when I first started the movie, I was wondering, is this a prequel? Because I was shocked to see Jim. Because before I saw this movie, I went to go see the first one because I didn't know anything. I wanted to understand what the hype was and all of that. So then I saw the first movie, and clearly at the end of the first movie, when you see the wife and when the girl figures out how to, how to get them to open their heads and then how to kill them. And then all of a sudden you just see the confidence in the wife's face. It's just like, oh, I can't wait for the next episode type of feeling, right? So then that's pretty much how I went into this movie. But then when I saw Jim, because I know that they killed him off in the first movie, I was like, what are you doing here? Is this a prequel? What's going on? So I started thinking that this was kind of like, before the story, before the thing, and then all of a sudden they showed, and I was a little disappointed because I wanted to see the continuance of what happened. But clearly you could see that, it was kind of like a dream type of thing. Therefore, I liked it. I liked the whole thing because it's literally the next episode. I think that this is just starting to become a pattern here. Mortal Kombat, Star Wars, whatever. Everything is a whole bunch of movies, not just one anymore like before. So, yeah, I liked it. I liked it. I was thoroughly entertained. And now the whole thing with the water, that's the next chapter. So, like, there's going to be a third movie. I like sequels.
You know what? Thinking of the beginning of the movie, the opening scenes, and what Caden was talking about, what they would possibly do with a third movie, it just made me think about this kind of like throwaway line that they had at the beginning of the movie when I guess the aliens first, when you first see like that explosion in the sky and everyone's leaving the baseball game. Emmett, he goes to his car, and Jim, I call him Jim, but you know who I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the character name's Lee Abbott.
Lee. Okay, so Lee walks past them, and Emmett mentioned something about his brother on a base or something like that, and how he wanted to get some kind of information. I can't remember all the way.
Yeah. But he says, So the line is something of the sorts of. Lee asks him, "Hey, does your brother know anything about this?" And he says, "He just gave me a call. Let me call him back."
Maybe it's going to be the brother if they do the third movie. Maybe it's going to be something with the brother on the base. I'm just thinking, why would they have that there just randomly?
Yeah, I'd like to see that. And the other thing you first see is that they see that disaster in Shanghai, and they think it's a terrorist attack in Shanghai. You see it on the TV in that first scene with Lee in that corner store. I think that could play into it as well, because that would show if the terror attack is the alien asteroid, whatever it was, if that's what hit that building in Shanghai, that would then prove that it's all over the globe. So I want to what I really want to see in this third one, and the second one did this. This movie did a lot of really good world building where it branched out, showed different things. We see the people on the island that are isolated. We see these Ravagers on the boat dock. We see Emmett as well. It does a lot of that type of world building. I want to see that a lot more in this one, in the next one, but to a larger extent. I want to see what's happening across the world, everywhere. I think that would really interest me to see what other families are going through.
And
so now, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go right ahead.
Well, now, see, because of Jim, throughout both of these movies, I just kept thinking about one person, right? Because the reality of the situation is just that I'm just so used to Jim being in an office setting, and it's very hard for me to see Jim just being the woodsman. You know what I mean? It's very hard for me to just picture him in that role. All right. So now the entire time I was thinking about somebody else. So let me just get that, because I just feel, and I had this for a while now, ready to put this in my recasting, because I kept thinking about this person the whole time, and I felt like this person would be way, way better to be in this role. What was his name again? Because I can't get off of Jim.
Lee.
Yeah.
Who the heck is this?
Mose.
Oh wait, no, from the office.
Mose.
Oh my God.
Mose.
Oh, what's his name? He's the showrunner of The Good Place and Parks and Recreation.
No, wasn't he on The Office? Wasn't he what's his name's brother or something?
Cousin Mose.
White's cousin.
Oh my God.
Mose would be perfect.
What's his name?
For this role right here. Just look at him. Just look at Mose. Don't you think that would be? It's just because Jim is
Michael Schur. His name is Michael Schur.
Oh, thank you. Because you know what I mean. I just felt, and the entire time while watching this movie, I was just thinking about that.
Do you want him as Emmett or as Lee?
As Emmett, because I don't know, man. I'm literally just doing that based on how he looks and the fact that he's such of a country dude. You know what I mean? This was happening out in the woods and all of that. And mind you, I appreciate that. You know me. But no, not Jim. Not Jim. Take Jim out of that.
Let me talk about that character Emmett, played by Cillian Murphy. He killed it. Cillian Murphy was the standout of this movie, in my opinion. The first one was Reagan, who was played by Millicent Simmons. She killed it in this one as well, but really this one was Cillian Murphy's time to shine. He's been in other movies and he's been really good in those films, but in this one, like, he was really, really good. Like, he knocked it out of the ballpark. Pun intentional if you saw the beginning of the movie where they're playing baseball. But I mean, he was really good in this role as kind of like a grizzled man who lost his family. His kids died. His wife got sick and died. So he's a grizzled, grumpy guy who's now just living on his own and doesn't want to do anything and has to help this girl to make sure that she does not die. And I thought that everything that he did was very powerful. And I thought that he was the absolute standout of this movie in terms of his like acting and showing like what he can really do in this role. Having a lack of dialogue, I think, forces any actor to do that. And it's the ultimate challenge. And you saw that when, what's her name? Emily Blunt did that in the first one with when she was giving birth and was screaming. And then you have the rusty nail scene as well. When you can do that to like the level that he did that, I was blown away by that performance. I did not expect him to be able to do that in this role.
Facts. I think he's always done spectacular in everything I've ever seen him in. Even like there was this one movie he did like way back in the day. It was like a zombie movie or something. It was like 28. Was it 28 Days Later or something like that? He was even good in that.
I think he's in that. Yeah, he's in 28 Days Later.
Since Vic brought up recasted, I do have a little recasted myself. Lee. For some reason, I was watching this and I said, hold on, if this was a couple years earlier, like 90s, you know who will be playing Lee? Boom. Tom Cruise.
That's true.
Yes. It's giving me very much Tom Cruise.
I cannot imagine another person in that role other than John Krasinski.
Are you serious?
It's gotta be him and Emily Blunt. They're real life married, which adds to the chemistry between these two characters. I think if you take either one of them out of that role, I think it destroys the first movie.
No, I see your Emily Blunt's and I raise you a Nicole Kidman because back in the day, Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman used to be a thing, and they had a movie together. I forgot what it's called, but the chemistry was all over. It was, I do
not care. A Quiet Place 1, A Quiet Place 2, their chemistry is why I want them as Sue and Reed Richards in Fantastic Four. Like that's the reason why I want them. They killed it in that first one. Like they didn't even be able to talk. They couldn't even talk, and they showed that they have like a stronger relationship than like 99% of couples in the US.
They did a fantastic job, but recast it. It's not, you don't recast them because they did a bad job. You recast it because it's just something you got to do. And I said, if I had to recast anyone, it would be Lee as Tom Cruise.
I see, like, in the movies I've done, I have not picked a recasted because it's so hard for me to find anybody to replace these roles. Like, everybody in this, I can't imagine another actor being able to pull that off. I get what Vic was saying with Mose. I love Michael Schur. He could not do what Cillian Murphy did in this role. And that's why, like, I don't think anyone could do what John Krasinski did either.
Well, all right. Tiptoe, do you have anything you would like to add?
I do. Sorry, guys. My sound is really jacked right now. I can only use my speaker on my laptop if that's all right.
Okay.
I think Jim, I agree with Kaden. Jim and Emily really, really demonstrate that chemistry in the first film so well that lingering impact that Jim's character had on this entire film, you really felt that, and you really felt for her. Like she was on the cusp of losing it until she ran into the neighbor. I think that gave, especially after just getting out of that kill. I mean, there was a little inconsistency with the end of the last one and the beginning of the first one. There was only one alien versus the several that were approaching at the end of the first. But whatever the case may be, that getting over that kill and moving locations and finding someone else like that definitely replenished some of her hope, because she was really like reeling after everything that just happened at their house. I think the neighbor really stepped up. I was really proud of him. He had lost everything. And instead of just continuing to dwell in that, with the opportunity of the family coming and him knowing them well, him having such a close relationship with him, it made the risk factor worth it, him going to save the daughter. And then even him taking it further with her, I thought that was great. Something about the theme of hope and community just pushed through in this movie for me. And it was really, I was glad to see it, because it was dour. Last movie had me kind of like, I was like, yes, but I was also like, okay, but like, what do y'all have to look forward to at this point? Continue to try to stifle this baby without suffocating it? Like, this is really scary. I was really hoping for them to be able to survive with that baby around. A newborn baby, you know how much they cry?
Mm-hmm.
You know how much they cry? It's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt like there was a really good payoff too, with the whole oxygen tank thing and her remembering to grab, like, or even thinking to grab two. That was awesome, especially the payoff with that first, with how they ended the first one. But I was so proud of the son. At the end, I was just like, you know what? These kids are really stepping up to the plate. Like, they're grown now.
Yeah.
And I was really proud of them. They're survivors. It was cool.
Well, I'm going to add a little bit to that and give my quick thoughts on the movie. I've given a lot already, but there's a lot more that I want to kind of like get through. So regarding that prequel stuff that Vic talked about towards the beginning, I loved it. I like seeing like where it all started. They went a lot longer in those than I thought they would. Like, that was a good 20 to 30 minutes, and it was great. Like, everything they did in that to really establish how Lee was able to find out that they couldn't, about how like they could only hear and couldn't see based off of the phone ringing. And that's how he really figured that out, that it's based off of sound. The other thing I think that I picked up in this rather than the first one, and I don't know why I didn't pick this up in the first one, but it's really cool that because she's deaf and they could only communicate through those hand signs is why they were able to survive rather than like anybody else. And I didn't pick that up in the first one for some reason. Like, I should have. And there was like, I was like halfway through this, I was like, oh, I'm dumb. I should have realized this the whole time.
Yeah, I don't know how you didn't pick that up. But one thing I did pick up this movie that I didn't pick up last time is because she's deaf, she really has to be, you know, aware of her surroundings. We saw that in the train scene, like, because she can't hear them coming, which adds like a little bit of like, you know, a scare to it. I didn't catch that the first one.
Well, yeah, and speaking of that, like, whenever the sound is so good, the sound mixing in this film is incredible. When they go from the loud to the quiet back to that loud to really like get you into like what she's hearing, incredible directing choice by John Krasinski there. And that's like where I think his directing is incredible. I don't think anybody else could do that. It's a little thing that he adds in. And speaking of that directing touch, I got a lot of notes about that. And with the writing, this one had a lot more talking than the first one, since that the neighbor's base is underground, under, I believe we said like 5 inches of cement. So they have a little bit of space to talk. They would have to be standing directly over them. And they're also like, they can talk in that chamber because it's soundproof. So I thought that the talking allowed them to have a much different movie. It allowed more dialogue, which made Krasinski show off his writing chops a little bit. Fantastic. He killed it with the writing in this movie. Very basic, but very effective. I also like that this was a little bit more of an adventure film. The first one, they're at that home for most of the time. It shows a family settling in this post-apocalyptic environment. This one showed them having to go on an adventure to find more civilians, to find other people, a new place to live. I like that it made itself stand out. And that's what I was worried about, was the movies feeling very similar. They felt very, very different. The other things with the writing was, you mentioned this, the kids taking control at the end. This movie, John Krasinski has talked about this series being a love letter for his kids, which is ironic considering it's a horror movie and it's a horror series. But he said that it's a love letter to his children. And the first one, he makes the sacrifice. Lee makes that sacrifice. And in this one, you see the kids step up to the bat. The son killing that alien with them, and my girlfriend coming in here saying that I have a crush on John Krasinski, and she's not wrong. So the son has to step up because we see that he's like very scared, has that destroyed ankle from the bear trap, and he has to step up and end up killing that alien. And then the girl, she did the exact same thing, Reagan, and she killed that alien. I thought that was a really cool touch that he put in there, is that now the kids are able to finally take control. And Emmett says that, he says that you're like, your father would be proud, or you're like your father, something like that.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
No, I was thinking when you were talking about the movie being a horror, and I know it's classified as a horror, but it didn't feel like a horror to me. I don't know. I didn't get horror vibes. I got maybe thriller vibes, suspense vibes, even like sci-fi vibes, clearly because it's alien. Yeah. But as far as horror, I don't know. I get a
mix. There were some like,
suspense.
Well, yeah, I think it becomes a horror because like it got me. Like it really got me at certain points, and that's mainly because of my next point. The anxiety that Krasinski is able to drive out of this movie is second to none in a film. The only other movie I felt this type of anxiety in is Uncut Gems, the Adam Sandler film from 2 years ago. That second half of the movie is an anxiety attack into a film. This movie in the first one does it so well because it builds up this thing that like if noise is made, they're gonna die. So anytime you hear a bit of noise, you freak out. And then at the end, that second half of the movie with the oxygen continually running out, he accidentally locks himself in that chamber where after a minute and a half, he loses oxygen, and that the bottle is also running out. Adds another layer to it as well because you're afraid that he's gonna die. Him and that baby are going to die in that chamber. It was really like when you can pull that level of suspense out of a film, I think that's like top tier filmmaking. I'm all like, in my idea of perfect filmmaking is creating emotion. If you can really get yourself emotionally invested in a movie, I think it's like one of the most effective ways of filmmaking. And Krasinski does that so well in this one. Also, dare I say, he did it better in this one than the first one because of that oxygen thing. I think that adds another layer. The first one only had that sense of anxiety due to the sound. This added another layer of anxiety, plus another one on top of that with the boats. The birth of the baby, yeah, that's a big one too. The nail's a big one in that first one too. The nail and the birth of the baby are the two main ones in that one. This one is when he has the noose around his neck and the bottles are clanking against each other. That's a big one. And I also think at the end when she's stepping over and she's like stepping on the ground into the soundstage and you see all the things she's about to hit, that like almost triggered me into a full-on like just panic attack. Incredible filmmaking by John Krasinski here. Like I cannot give him enough credit. So well done.
So would it be safe to say you give this movie a thumbs up?
Oh, 100%. And I want to give one quick shout out. I hope I get his name right. Jimon Hansu. He's a character actor.
Yes.
He plays the lead of the Kree in Guardians of the Galaxy with the famous line where he goes, "Oh, Star-Lord." Awesome.
He was in it for a hot second.
Vic knows the term pop. It's a wrestling term. I popped like crazy when I saw him. I was so excited. He's one of my favorite actors.
Yeah, I liked him back in the day.
Yeah, he's super handsome. Love to see him in any sci-fi film. Something about him just radiates sci-fi. He's a really beautiful guy, but he's just tall and he just exudes that like I don't know.
So glad to have another girl. Thank you.
That BDE, but
yes.
Even though a lot of times, they do what they do with his character in this one, but that's okay. Whenever he gets his chance, he delivers those lines, even if it's 2.5 lines, with such conviction.
I was so sad when he died. I was like, oh my God, why they had to kill him off? I was so upset.
I was so upset too. He did all of that, whipping the whip around. He was doing it, honking the horn. I said, oh, he about to make it. He going to make it to the end. And lo and behold, it just got rid of him. It off some stupidness too. He was like, oh, did it follow us? Like, my guy, like, what's up. Like, but I don't know.
I'm like, did you not notice that it was I'm still kind of confused about how, like, did it cling to the base of the ship of the boat as they're going? Like, how does this happen?
That wasn't their boat. That was a different boat.
That was the other boat.
That was the other boat.
And there was one in it. Like, I remember.
So if you see in that scene when he's in the water, another alien jumped onto that other boat and it washed ashore.
Okay.
That's how it got there.
That's what
I'm more interested in seeing who's still alive. And to go back to Jimon dying, I found that really interesting because it showed that they didn't really have to deal with the aliens.
Yep.
So he didn't know, can they follow me this far? Are they always going to be around me?
Yep.
I found that to be like another like a little interesting thing because he really we thought that he knew what to do with the driving. He like knew immediately what to do, but he really didn't. Like he knew to a certain extent, but he didn't know truly like what they could really do overall, like what their true power was. That's only something that like Emmett, Reagan, Millicent, which is Reagan,
living out
with all of them knew. They're the only ones that really knew that.
Facts. So, all in all, even though I do think the ending was a little abrupt, there were a couple of nitpicks I had, but it was a good movie. I think it was just as good as the first one. I would watch it again. I'm giving it a thumbs up. You're muted, boo.
I'm going to give it a thumbs up too. It was really, really good. John Krasinski, the sound of this, it really reminded me of actually a shittier movie, Dead Silence. But the way that Dead Silence was able to execute with that sound, execute each scare, this did it the same way, but better, enhanced. And it really made me, I jumped a couple times as everything kind of got intense in every moment. So definitely thumbs up for me.
I hope they keep the pattern. I really do. I hope they keep this pattern. They can do 4 movies if they want. I think that the third movie might end up being the culmination of this, but this is a continuation above all else. You know, this is kind of like The Empire Strikes Back, you know, for lack of a better phrase, because you know what I'm saying? That's what this is. It's really good, and it brings everybody into the story. So clearly it's a thumbs up. But, you know, I can't wait for the next one.
I have a quick question for everybody. Do you guys think it was better than the first?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
We the first one did. I think they both are standalone, which is great. But without the first one, we wouldn't have really felt the impact of the loss of their dad.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're like incredibly close. I think there's like 1 or 2 factors that set this one above. Mainly, I think due to that prequel. I love the prequel stuff a lot. And I'm also a big fan of world building and whatever that is. So whenever I can see that sort of world building done good, which it was, loved it.
You know, but I think that this is going to end up being like trying to judge John Wick. Because once you see all of the John Wick movies, then it's one movie. You know what I'm saying? And this is what's going to end up being. So like, I feel that by the time it's done, it's going to be hard to, it's going to be kind of like, oh, which episode did you like better? Type of thing.
Yeah.
Because this is turning into.
Yeah, that's why they did it in parts, where it's part 1, part 2, and part 3, because it really is all one big movie together, and that's kind of the point.
I'll always have a favorite. I can always pick a favorite.
Oh wait, I said thumbs up a long time ago. Why is there so much silence? Where are we?
Well, that's the episode.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining
Cousin
us.
Mose.
Yes, that Cousin Mose. Bring back Cousin Mose and bring Cousin Mose in part 3. That would be awesome.
Cousin Mose should be in part 3.
Imagine if there's if Michael Scott comes into part 3.
No,
That's what she said. Joke in this movie. I will.
Mentioned the brother in the military. It should be played by Cousin Mose. The cousin in the military should be the guy in the military should be Cousin Mose.
Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to leave us a thumbs up. Don't forget to share our videos if you enjoyed our videos, and join us a little later tomorrow. We're going to be doing a couple movies. Every week we do something. So join us. See you later. Bye.
Let's go, Mose. Let's go, Mose.
Mose.
Let's go, Mose. Hashtag Mose in the third movie.